Welcome to Plead the Facts, presented by KI Legal.
On today's episode, Andreas Koutsoudakis, co-founder of KI Legal, is joined by Olivia Piluso, Canales-Reyes, and Ralphsun Nayem, associates at KI Legal, to discuss their legal journeys and what they do now at KI Legal.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to KI Legal as associates. Welcome to the podcast. I think this is at least your first actual podcast. I know some of us had dreams of having their own podcast. We'll get to that later. But this is Ralphsun, Karen, and Olivia. Welcome as first-year associates again.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, the three of them started out as law clerks, law externs actually. They all graduated from St. John's Law School in May. I also graduated from St. John's Law School in May together with them. All of our families were there at the same time, but I had a purple robe on and they had the red ones, right?
Yeah, red and black.
Yep, and I graduated from the Masters of Law program in bankruptcy at St. John's. And a constant theme you'll see from us at the firm is education, education, education. Whatever you do, you need to be a master of it. Substantive lawyers. So whether you're doing the most simplest legal task that there are a million forms for, or something extremely complex in litigation or transactions, we want you to know that inside and out. And that starts from the beginning, right? And it continues, just like I went back to law school because I was fascinated with bankruptcy laws and how that could better our representation of business owners. Internally, we have what's known now as KI University, right? When you started here, you started out as externs about a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Before it was the second semester of your summer.
Yeah,
right?
summer, yeah.
Summer externs.
So you started as externs. A lot of law schools have externship programs. You have a class component, and then you have an offsite where you get real life experience, right? From there, survival of the fittest. You survived with flying colors. We extended offers you part-time law clerk positions, paid, and you finished off your third year juggling all of the responsibilities of being able to breathe in your third year of law school. But you also had this part-time job, and you would travel here and got to work on real cases. So I want to learn more about, I want you to share more about your experience as an extern, as a law clerk, ultimately taking the bar exam, and now your time here. And to close it off, we'll talk about what your dreams are, why you want to be a lawyer, what kind of lawyer you envision yourself being, and what keeps you passionate. Where is the passion coming from? Because without that, you'll never be a good lawyer. No one ever will be good at anything if you don't have passion behind it, law or otherwise. So for that, I'll start off with Karen.
Okay.
So start off with tell me about your externship experience here. Again, if for everyone remember, this was during COVID, during the pandemic. There were a lot of challenges on this, right? So
I was really happy that this was one of the first firms that I looked into that was still doing in-person externships. So a lot of places were remote, and you guys had a full in-person experience, which I thought was really helpful. I started with the two of these students as well, so it was really nice having a really good group of friends, and we became friends over the course of the summer, and we really got thrown into crazy cases from our first day. And we each had a mentor or an attorney that we were working coincide with, so it was really nice to have a more seasoned attorney helping you and kind of guiding you, and then also just learning the ins and outs of a law office. I had some legal experience, but I know some people don't, so it's always nice when people aren't mean to you and they can explain things to you without putting you down or making you feel like you're inferior. You're still an extern, but at the end of the day, we want to be attorneys. We want to be treated like one. So I had a really great time that summer. I learned a lot. I got put on some really interesting cases, and it made some really great friends, and I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome. And then was there a memorable case that you had or something? I remember one that you did a really good job on. Actually, it was an appeal of something that we had lost at an initial level, and you did an amazing job on appeal.
Yeah, I love that.
I was very, very impressed with
that. That was one of my favorite things. We had to get really creative. It was an appeal, and we thought we had no argument, and we did some digging, some social media digging. We found crazy cases. It was about COVID, so there was not a lot of law on it at the moment. And I don't know.
Outside the box.
Yeah,
thinking, right?
that's how lawyering is. So it was really cool to work on.
Awesome. And Olivia, tell us.
Fun fact about Karen and I, when we first walked into the lobby
yes.
at 90 Broad, that's where we started, and now we're at 40 Wall, but we looked at each other and I said, I think I know you from somewhere. Like, we were adversaries in trial
We
court.
hated each other.
And we hated
I
each
beat
other.
her,
And her team won, and I was so mad. We were like, there was so much tension, and I was like, we ended up being best friends by the end of the summer because the environment was just so welcoming. It was so great, especially having the experience of both litigation and transactions as a summer extern. You're able to speak on so many different matters. I worked with you a little bit, I worked with Michael a little bit, so I was able to get both sides, which was honestly great because you don't really know in law school. You really only get taught litigation for the most part. Like, you're really civil procedure, and you're mostly in classes that cater to that litigation type. I did depositions classes, but when you're working, you get put into a certain group, and at least when we were with you guys, we were able to do litigation and transactions to kind of see what we like best, where we fit in, what felt more comfortable to us, what we wanted to learn more about, and that was really great as a summer extern.
And that's by design, right?
Right.
Part of it is, I always say, you hear so many people, older attorneys, and then they're speaking to a young attorney and say, oh, you're going to law school? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I always
Worst
hear that.
decision,
Yeah.
right?
I'm like, no.
I completely disagree with that, and I always say,
Yes.
the people who say that, it means the first place you worked for was a bad experience, right? And that ended up molding what kind of lawyer you became. And so you're at this really important stage, almost like a child, right, where it's your responsibility to mold them into the right person, right, and teach them certain things from the beginning, good habits, educate them, give them the breathing room to learn and explore, and make sure that, in my mind, you're the smartest researcher ever when you're in law school, right? You're digging, you know how to use all these things because you're doing it so much. That can be either, nourished and expanded on, or it can be kind of fire out, and so we try to encourage you to continue to grow. But with the cross-department stuff, it's really important. It's by design, as I said earlier, because it's all about issue spotting, right? And so we're training you from early on to know enough to be able to at least catch something, to know to dig further, or to go to another attorney or another colleague in the office or somewhere else, and just, there's something there because you've been exposed to it enough to be able to spot that problem, issue spot. That's what lawyers do. Right. We have to identify the problems you tell us about and the problems you don't tell us about, and then we have to figure them out, right? So, Ralphsun.
Yeah, mostly just echoing what all of you guys touched upon. I think what first attracted me to the opportunity to extern at KI was that there's such a robust commercial, transactional, and litigation departments here, and you get exposure to just completely different sides of the law, which helps you train that issue spotting instinct, because in the real world, cases often have a lot of crossover. Relationships, any sort of transaction will have a lot of crossover. It can't just strictly be some things transactional and some things litigation based. And then on top of what everyone was saying, also, everyone was really friendly here once I started working. We started as coworkers, we all ended up as friends, us associates, all of our supervisors, the partners, the senior associates, everyone's been really kind and friendly. And then also there was a level of respect paid where in other firms, maybe you work as an extern and you just have to do busy work and this and that. But I felt like even from day one, I was put on serious matters. I had to do substantial tasks, meaningful tasks. And if I ever came to, SOC or Ralph or someone I was working for with a different idea, they'd always be willing to sit down and hear me out. So I always appreciated that as well.
From a business standpoint, the traditional law firm model is, the big firms, right? They have this summer associate class that's getting paid as a first year associate would get paid, right? And then they start as first year associates and they're continuing that model. And there's this tremendous program that starts as a first year associate, not before then, right? For us, what we did at the firm is, we represent a lot of small businesses, right? And we can't just, say no to people. We want to help people, and you have all experienced it, right? I always say my favorite work is which people don't pay me to do, right? Well, there's a lot of clients that they don't have these massive budgets to just do endless amount of legal work, but we want to get those things done. So the externship program is not only an amazing way for us to train you, get real experience, not just take advantage of some, free program that law schools have. We, as you all just said, we actually give you real work, obviously supervised and managed by, senior attorneys and partners, but it's also a way for us to do that work for free for a client, right? On our retainers, it literally says externs, $0 per hour, right? And that's a way for us to offset fees and take on cases that might otherwise ultimately be unaffordable, not affordable to our small business clients, especially during the pandemic when they were getting blitzed every which way since Sunday, right? And getting hit and needing all of these different practice areas. So that's the business side of it. It's an investment in long term. We see the loyalty. You all join the program as first year associates, united friends. You know, the learning curve of knowing the systems and processes has been, eliminated. You were already way past that. Day one is like jump right in. But also we've had a chance to work with you together, and the clients themselves have benefited, pro bono or otherwise, right? They get that work where we have these externs doing that. So you all just took the infamous New York bar exam, one of the hardest exams in the world, certainly one of the hardest bar exams in the world. I have my horror story, but I want to hear your horror story of the bar exam experience. You shut your world off and then you take this exam. What's the one thing that 20 years from now, no matter what, you will remember this about the bar exam? Quick one-liner.
The fact that a pack of cigarettes at the venue costs $20.
Of course it does.
A girl threw up in front of me.
No.
Two rows in front of me. She saw the essay portion, which was pretty terrible, and she was dry heaving. And hope she's okay.
Oh God, mine were the lines at the Javits Center. It took an hour and a half to get into the actual testing center. I was like, all right, I'm never getting in. I guess I'm not taking the test.
What's interesting is you still were there an hour and a half early, as was everybody else.
Oh,
There
yeah.
at 7.
I was there literally at
So
7,
open.
and I didn't get in till 9.
Yeah.
I mean,
funny.
it was insane.
So I took I stayed at a hotel in the city. I wanted to mitigate the chance of that, right? Like traveling time, traffic, something. So I'm like, I don't want anybody talking to me. I had my own hotel room, and I just stayed. I took New York, New Jersey, so it was 3 days for me. But my memory is, I think, an hour or two into the bar exam in the New York one, literally it was just rows and rows and rows of 2-seat desks, just like for miles it looked like, right? Or it felt like, at least. Everybody with their squishy earplug things, you can't hear a soul. But the row next to me, but same row with me, he literally just starts screaming and flips over the whole desk.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, he's having a bad day. So I think that was the multiple choice section. I didn't even think it was the essay section. So,
Oh my God.
Do we think he passed?
yeah, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he's alive anymore based on that action. But yeah, I will never forget that. Pretty scary stuff. Yeah, the bar exam's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
over.
is.
6 hours still, right? 2 days
Yep.
in a row.
2 days, yeah.
2 days.
It is. It's exhausting.
Speakers.
It's mentally exhausting, physically exhausting. You don't really sleep or eat for those 3 days leading up, and the day in between you don't really sleep. So it's
You're horrified
Yeah.
the whole time.
It's a mental
2 weeks,
marathon.
2
It is
weeks
a mental
later, you're still
marathon.
drained. It's no one tells you about that.
I always
Yeah.
compare it to like the scene in Old School when Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yes.
what just happened? I blacked out.
That's,
right?
I actually played that YouTube the second that it ended, and I said, "This is how I explained it to everyone." I was like, "This is what happened to me."
That's exactly how it
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah, I feel like everyone says once they're done with the exam, they're gonna go out drinking and party, but everyone I know just went home and knocked out for a week.
Yeah. it's
Oh my
I had a
God.
drink and then that was it.
Yeah, we had a drink, and then I was like, "I'm going to bed for a week. Good night."
It is insane. So, well, it's over, and
Thankfully.
we have utmost confidence that you guys did great, and so we'll see. But it's a very challenging exam, but you've prepped for it, right? The hard part, as I told you guys before, I told all three of you, I think I told you that before, at graduation,
Yeah,
maybe.
you did.
The hard part's been done, right? The bar exam is like the culmination of all the work that you've put in, not just 3 years of law school, but your whole life. Law school is not something that you can just fake your way through. You're reading thousands of small font, single pages, single spaced, like really thin paper, plus supplements, plus secondary sources, and going to class and briefing. I mean, it's really a mental marathon that you've been preparing for just to get into law school your whole life, from childhood, and then ultimately during law school to be able to do that. So law school's no joke, that's for sure.
It's no
But you
joke.
made it. You finished it, and I saw you graduate, so I know
You
that it
did.
happened.
We actually graduated.
How we handle a case has economic impacts on the client, right? So understanding that there's the correct skill set level at any given point that should be what the client is paying for, right? Just because everyone can do something doesn't mean the most expensive person should be doing it, right? And just because humans can do it doesn't mean humans should be doing it. And so we've invested heavily in technology specifically to keep the client's businesses in mind, right? Their money. The name of the game is to keep as much money in their pocket as possible, whether it's litigation or transactions, right? And to do it as effectively as possible. So it doesn't matter where their money goes to our pockets as a law firm and they're paying us to do it, the person suing them or that they're suing, or the other side of a deal or some expense or expert, whatever it is, the name of the game is to protect their business interests, to protect their individual interests if we're representing them in that capacity, and to do so as efficiently as possible. Just like their business is to sell a product and keep the most amount of money in their pocket, that's what we need to do for them. We need to encourage, make sure that that happens and not eat into their margins unnecessarily, right? So we do that intentionally by design. Everything we do is purposeful. And we do that so that it becomes ingrained in your head that economics matter in how you practice law, not just the substantive part of it. So you've done an amazing job. And I think it's one thing that we've learned just on accident is, you all coming straight from law school provide something that, older attorneys may not have the benefit of. I was joking today in a meeting we had earlier that, I didn't have cell phones. I got that in my first year of high school. I was 14, right? Nobody had a cell phone. You had pagers and beepers before then, right? That was my childhood. But all of you were born in a world where computers were like automatic, right? You knew instinctively the X is on the top right and left side if it's an apple, right? That is not second nature to a lot of people. So in turn, that gives you an advantage in terms of technology solutions. And if we can take that advantage and that knowledge and listen to you and learn from you and implement it for the benefit of the firm and the clients in turn from there, it's an amazing benefit for everybody. So thank you all. You're all going to do very, very well here and as attorneys in general. And we wish you all the best. We're really excited to get started. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Good.